Good evening. I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive right into public transportation. In a move to be more transparent, Transit Windsor is releasing fresh data about the service. Our municipal affairs reporter Chris Ensing went through the numbers and tells us what they reveal.
Everyone's paying more to ride the bus this year, part of a rate hike approved by council. But what are people on the bus getting? Well, a bus that's on time but overcrowded. Let's take a look at the numbers. $3.75 gets you on the bus in Windsor. It's one of the most expensive fares for public transit when compared to other cities in Ontario. More expensive than Toronto, cheaper than Ottawa. Ridership is on the rise, 7% higher this year than 2023, an even bigger jump compared to pre-pandemic ridership, and all these numbers are from January to September. As of now, 78% of buses are running on time. That's the equivalent of what it was last year in September, and that's because the city's using new technology. So signals at traffic lights are triggering a system that lets green lights stay longer so the buses aren't stuck at a red. But the winter can really drag those numbers down. This is what happened last year. They went below the industry standard of 75 to 68% of buses on time. This chart here tells a story that has some councillors concerned. It's the average number of people boarding the bus per hour during the weekday. The sweet spot is 35. Anything over means the bus is overloaded. The 1A, 1C, Crosstown, Dougal, Dominion, Walkerville, all operating beyond that sweet spot for a second straight year now. The fix is on the way. 19 new buses that should help but won't arrive until February, after the city ordered them in the summer of 2023. Council is also looking at options for service improvements as part of the budget process, but it's a tight budget year with a proposed property tax increase above inflation. So that's what the numbers say, but we wanted to know what people who use the bus think. We asked them, does your bus arrive on time?
Yeah, sometimes in winters it's late, but as usual it's on time.
Yeah, it's mostly on time. Most of
the time, yes. Sometimes it's late, sometimes it doesn't come on time.
And then we asked if their bus has ever drove by because there's too many people on it.
Yes, many times actually. Mostly due to the high amount of people taking the bus becomes very crowded.
No, that has not ever happened with me.
Not often, no.
And finally, we wanted to know what they think will make the bus system better.
In the transit app too, sometimes there are mistakenly some wrong timings, and when we reach here, the bus is not available.
I think maybe to update the times much more regularly, because sometimes it shows that, like, let's say it's 5 minutes away, so you'll be thinking it's 5 minutes, and you go out and the bus is just right in front of your house.
Bring more buses, hire more drivers so you can bring more buses. So it's basically for the municipal government to invest more in public transportation.
One thing that will change is the amount of metrics that the public sees. That's because the councillors who are the board of directors for Transit Windsor have asked them to be more transparent about this type of performance data. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
American Thanksgiving Day is here, and for many in Windsor-Essex, the festivities are inspired by their love of football and the Detroit Lions. The CBC's Mike Evans caught up with fans catching the game and enjoying what they refer to as an unofficial holiday and a yearly tradition.
My name is Haley Oglin, and we're talking about the impact of American Thanksgiving in Windsor-Essex County. We're in downtown Windsor at the Loose Goose.
American Thanksgiving, it's a big deal in Windsor, isn't it?
It's a very big deal. A lot of the people that live here are American or grew up in America like I did. I spent 10 years down there, and it's something that I still celebrate to this day.
So we're not really talking about the game and the outcome of the game today. We're talking about the tradition involved. Do you see a lot of Windsorites coming out to the bar on today, taking time off work to enjoy it?
Oh yeah, this location we have an uptick of reservations during the day for the game. Our Lakeshore location, almost 50% of the bar was reserved this morning. I'm here every year. This is an extra day. This is like an extra Christmas for us in the bar industry, and I'm grateful to be here.
You talk about it being like an extra Christmas day, so it gets that busy. So you take an average Thursday in November, and it becomes one of your highlights of your year.
Yeah, completely. It's like another St. Patrick's Day, another Christmas Day. It's something that we get to celebrate, and it's a great day to just be with people.
Ben, will you be watching the game?
Oh, heck yeah. I will be watching the game. It's a really exciting year, especially to watch the Lions become what they've become in the last couple years, and hopefully we'll see them again in February.
One of those extra special days, especially because we're so close with Detroit and being able to share with the national media and getting games. It's just one of those extra special days that, everybody gets to come in for a real good day.
Now, a lot of people here are probably calling in sick, so I don't want to get everybody on camera, but do you see a lot of familiar faces here, a lot of regulars coming out to enjoy this, taking it off work?
Absolutely. That's one of the best parts about Cramden's and the South Windsor family is that people continue to come back and support on a regular basis.
I was talking to somebody downtown, and they compared American Thanksgiving to St. Patrick's Day in its importance to the bar industry. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. I would agree. Like I said, it's one of those extra days that we kind of get in the middle to, get a little bit ahead, especially the kids. Most of our servers are students or, just starting out in their life. So it's one of those little extra kicks.
Tell me about how American Thanksgiving is kind of an unofficial holiday in the city of Windsor.
Yeah, like I said, I've taken American Thanksgiving off for the last 25 years. I just love watching football. We just don't work on American Thanksgiving. I consider it a holiday of Canada's living here in Windsor.
Keith, you're not going to get in trouble. You're not supposed to be at work right now, are you?
No, I work for myself.
And you took the day off. Is this something that you do every year on American Thanksgiving?
Every year. Been a huge Lions fan since 1989, since Barry Sanders' rookie year, and just praying for a Super Bowl championship.
Is this something you look forward to every year?
It is something I look forward to. Get together with friends, and it's an unofficial holiday. If you can get some time off work, everybody gets together and just has a good time.
And in case you haven't had a chance to check the score, the Lions won their annual home game today over the Chicago Bears. And of course, Thanksgiving in the U.S. means the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which turned 100 years old. The Radio City Rockettes added a kick to the festivities. Towering over the proceedings was the Tom Turkey Float, the parade's oldest. And all there were 22 floats, 11 marching bands, and 32 giant balloons and inflatables. Santa Claus appeared at the end of the holiday parade that ushers in the Christmas season just like he did in 1924. Chris Potter joins us now for a quick look at weather, and all this talk about the holidays is really reflective of the chill outside right now.
Yeah, Mother Nature, Kat, is ushering in much colder air. In fact, it's the coldest air so far this season. Temperatures today basically in the mid-single digits. Now temperatures just above the 1 degree mark. As the cold air moves in, we're going to see lake effect snow develop, more of a westerly flow. So Windsor and surrounding areas are not targeted, but from time to time through this evening, tonight, and into the day tomorrow, we'll see a few passing flurries. Daytime high tomorrow, Kat, near 1. We'll talk about how long the cold air will remain in place coming up.
Sounds good. Talk again in a little bit, Chris. A visual artist who comes from Aamjiwnaang First Nation near Sarnia is turning heads with his intricate beadwork, work that's garnered him a huge prize. Chris Ensing spoke with Nico Williams about his work and his inspiration.
This bush coat hanging up, these J-cloths, and those chairs on top of the rocks, it might be the kind of art that leaves you a bit confused in a gallery at first glance. Aamjiwnaang artist Nico Williams says that's the trickery behind the work.
This one here is called Uncle, which is also made out of beadwork, that's incredible.
It is bonkers. This is not a cloth. It is made of beads.
These are the reactions Williams loves.
They get closer and they realize, that J-cloth in front of their eyes is actually made up of 22,000 beads or 40,000 beads. And then they get to see that intimate moment. This is one of the original flyers that I had found on the ground. I've been collecting flyers since the government announced a couple years ago that the cost of food was going up. I've beaded about 4 of them now with my studio team, and each little bead just captured all different tiny bits of detail.
He definitely is celebrating acts of making that have been exercised over thousands of years. You know, these beads, the techniques and understandings pass from one generation to another, and they embody knowledge.
Michelle Lavallee helped curate his work at the National Gallery of Canada in Ottawa.
That is what is traditional about Indigenous making, is that continuous adaptation and consistent skill within cultural production. But I think with artists like Nico Williams, it really is breathing this exciting life into what he's creating and connecting and inspiring people. And a lot of this work is made for beaders themselves.
Absolutely. You know, our ancestors have been working with beads as a material since the colonists brought it in, and we turned that into something the world had never seen before. We turned it into regalia. We made these beautiful things. And, you know, just to be continuing that pathway and inspiring people that work with beads as a material, people that work with all of our Indigenous practice, I think that's the most exciting thing. So this is one of the beaded bingo cards that will be coming up.
Williams works out of Montreal, but in Aamjiwnaang, where he's from, the work inspires a new generation of beaders. The head of the Heritage and Culture Club saying his work brings new ideas to respected traditions. Williams, who works with a team of artists, was recently awarded the Sobey Art Award, a $100,000 prize.
Right away, I wanted to acknowledge Nadia Mir, who received it in 2014. She is a Quebec artist from Kitigan-Zibi, and she gave me hope on receiving an award like this. You know, being like a bush kid and seeing another Indigenous person get that award, it gave me hope. So I hope that this also gives all those bush kids out there some hope too, that we're actually doing this, we're working forward together on bringing Indigenous art to the main focus.
Well, it is officially that time of year, the holiday shopping season. Tomorrow's Black Friday is a red letter day on the retail calendar, and the advertising blitz won't end until Boxing Day sales have wrapped up. CBC's Nisha Patel takes a look at that holiday advertising and how it's crafted to get people to buy.
Black Friday has become one of the busiest shopping days of the year.
If I find a good deal, I feel it's great. I did like 50% off on kids' clothes.
And it's not easy to escape the spending frenzy.
You get 2 or 3 emails from the same company a day, so sometimes I find it a bit too much.
Canadians are forecast to spend 10% more over the holidays this year than last. And with higher prices, many are looking for deals. 48% say they plan to shop on Black Friday. This marketing professor says sales season ads are designed using all kinds of tricks, from specific colors to countdown clocks, tapping into consumers' emotions to encourage buying.
I really need to buy this now, right now. So that's using the scarcity and trigger people's fear of missing out.
Canadian Black Friday tech deals are actually really good this year.
Social media is also adding pressure and shaping shopping decisions.
The companies use influencers, establish trust and emotion to make those spill over to their brand.
Black Friday deals on Amazon Canada are finally here.
With personalized shopping links and instant access to online marketplaces, impulse spending can quickly spiral out of control.
I would say more often it's that we're trying to not feel something, and the act of spending or buying something allows us to temporarily push that feeling away.
It's 40% off plus buy 3 get 3 free.
Experts say there are other ways to get a pick-me-up, and taking a break from social media can be good for your wallet.
Turn off the phone. You know, maybe step out of the house, step out of the office, into nature, talk to a friend.
While getting a deal may feel good, not spending for spending's sake might end up feeling even better. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
All kinds of organizations hold Christmas events, but guess what an architectural society is doing in London? Appropriately, it's exhibiting a gingerbread city with the architects on hand there. There's everything from towers and trains to mansions and Santa sleighs. And the theme is environmental, exploring how buildings can be reused, reducing carbon-intensive demolition and construction. Forget reusing these ones as dessert, though. The dough and icing were mixed not for taste, but to be, in the designer's words, structurally sound. And coming up tomorrow on Windsor Morning, what is the hottest thing in retail this Black Friday? Well, for cyber criminals, it's a rash of scams supercharged by artificial intelligence. You can catch that on Windsor Morning tomorrow on 97.5 FM. Welcome back. U.S. Border Patrol says 16 foreign nationals have been caught crossing into the U.S. from Canada in recent days. Donald Trump has threatened hefty tariffs on Canadian goods if illegal crossing isn't stopped. Jorge Barrera with CBC's investigative unit looks at why cracking down on the border is much harder than it may sound.
Your problem up here is the northern border.
That's Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan.
Canada's immigration rules are so lax.
Right.
Just about anybody can get to Canada. And, the northern border is wide open. You can just, either get across St. Lawrence River in 30 seconds.
Now Trump is threatening tariffs on Canadian goods if it doesn't stem the flow of illegal crossings. 19,000 people crossed the border through this region over 12 months, ending in September, more than the previous 17 years combined, according to U.S. data. By far the most of any point along the Canada-U.S. frontier. So what can Canada do?
It's technically not an offense in Canada to enter another country, so it's charged and prosecuted as a conspiracy to violate U.S. law.
Janine Plamondon is a prosecutor with the Public Prosecution Service of Canada. She's handled a number of human smuggling cases.
They're often complex cases. It takes a lot of work to put one of these prosecutions together.
She says these cases often need the help of U.S. law enforcement to be successful.
There's going to be evidence on both sides of the border because it's an offense that affects both of our countries.
For Canadian police officers, the current laws make it tough to stop U.S.-bound human smuggling.
Ours is very constrained. It's physically getting them across or being an active part of that organization if you can prove it in a conspiracy.
Retired Ontario Provincial Police Detective Matt Amer investigated cross-border human smuggling with a task force. To prove that conspiracy, Amer says you need to show there's a group with a clear leader with plans and actions to move people into the U.S. And that takes time, surveillance, resources.
It's maybe time for some update on the tools that the officers have in terms of legislation. Whether it's Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, whether it's criminal code, perhaps something needs to be amended just to make it easier to prosecute.
Sometimes it does get a little frustrating. You spend so many hours on the road, you want to do things, you want to prevent things. It doesn't make sense.
CBC News accompanied the RCMP on border patrols along the Quebec-New York state border this summer. Officers doing what they could within the constraints of the law.
You're running around chasing your tail all evening, all night, all day, day in, day out.
But there's another challenge to border policing.
We don't have an officer stationed around every corner, and it's just physically impossible with the length of the border.
Mountains, rivers, lakes, thick forests, from sea to sea. Parts of these borderlands remain beyond the easy reach of patrols and the high-tech gaze of drones, cameras, and sensors.
The World Health Organization is calling for better monitoring to help reduce the spread of H5N1 bird flu.
What we really need globally in the US and abroad is much stronger surveillance in animals. We need much stronger efforts in terms of reducing the risk of infection between animals, to new species, and to humans.
The U.S. has reported 55 human cases this year. Most of them involved farm workers who came in contact with infected poultry or cows. The strain was recently found in a pig on a backyard farm in Oregon. And last month, BC reported what's thought to be the first human case of H5N1 identified in Canada. Health officials don't know how the teen, who is in critical condition as recently as yesterday, became infected. And it is time for CBC's Make the Season Kind campaign. We're helping folks dealing with food insecurity, and we want your help. Just head to our website and look for this banner. It's got details on the various ways that you can take part in our campaign. And as part of Make the Season Kind, we're going to be heading out to Bright Lights at Jackson Park. We're going to have a live broadcast of our show that is on December 5th. So mark the date, come by, meet us, watch the show. We'll have live music and a bin to collect donations for our food drive. And once again, the fun starts at 5:30 on December 5th, and we hope to see you there. We can't wait to meet you. And stay with us. After the break, we will have Chris Potter back with us for more on your weather forecast. Spotter is back with us for more on weather. Chris, it's Friday tomorrow, so what can folks expect as we head on towards the weekend?
Well, as we get through the weekend, temperatures will be a focal point, Kat. It's going to be colder than it has been. The coldest air of the season, like I mentioned before, en route. It's going to move in tonight and kind of stick around all the way until early next week. And with this comes two things. Widespread cold, especially for those overnights and early mornings, especially when you include the winds. It's probably going to feel like anywhere from -6 to almost -10 at times during the early morning hours, each and every morning stepping forward, but also a persistent lake effect snow event. This is going to be targeting the eastern shoreline of Georgian Bay and Lake Huron. Snow squall warnings and watches already posted from Environment Canada. But this is going to be a multi-day event. If you're not familiar with snow squalls, highly localized bursts of heavy snow combined with strong surface winds reduces the visibilities. Obviously, winter-like driving conditions expected in those areas, but not for Windsor. It's going to be a traveler's concern if you're heading in those areas. Daytime highs today were around 4 in Windsor, 6 in Toronto, 3 in Barrie. Currently, temperatures are just above the 0-degree mark, feeling a bit cooler when you factor in those winds, which will become a little gustier tonight and into the day tomorrow. But because these are westerly winds, once again, it's the eastern shoreline of Georgian Bay and Lake Huron getting into the action, and we'll eventually start to see some significant snow develop off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, moving into western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. But for the Windsor area, it's pretty much a story about flurries. It looks like Goderich could get into some of that action in terms of some accumulating snow, especially a little bit inland from the lakeshore itself. Windsor, you're likely just going to be dealing with a lot of cloud cover, breezy winds, occasional pulses of flurries, if you will, minimal accumulations, if any. I think that it's going to be confined to maybe on top of your vehicles in the early morning, maybe on your grass, your lawn, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a big event for roadways. But keep in mind, even some flurries can create some wet road conditions, maybe even some slick sections. Once we get into Sunday, might be the better of the 2 days of the weekend because we actually start to see a little bit more sun, at least during the morning and perhaps the early afternoon. Snowfall potential is fairly minimal. It looks like a light dusting to maybe a centimeter, but it's really Lake Huron and Georgian Bay that gets into significant snow. We could be talking about in excess of 50 centimeters in some locales close to Bracebridge. Overnight lows will be just below 0, feeling as low as -6 to -8. It's going to feel as low as -6 tomorrow afternoon and starting in London, around -2 to -3 in the Windsor area. Temperatures will take a hit on Saturday with a high of only -1, Kat. 1 degree for Sunday as well as Monday. Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud to mostly cloud cover with a high at 0. That's a full look at your forecast. Things have changed.
It is time to embrace winter, isn't it? Thanks so much for that. And thanks to you all for watching. That is it for CBC Windsor News. You can also go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. See you tomorrow.